Hey everyone, DJ Benji here once again. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're all having a good day. Today we are going to be talking about a special subject. What is pitch riding? Now a couple of people have asked me recently, what is pitch riding and why do you do it? So pitch riding in a nutshell is the act of mixing a record solely using the pitch fader. Alright? So let me tell you a little story about this, right? Back in the day, I had a set of Newmark TT 1500s, I believe they were. They're my first set of decks. I worked incredibly hard to get this money. I was working part-time. I think it was £300, which was a lot of money back in 1999 when I got these. These decks, they were okay, don't get me wrong. They were direct drive, but they're a little bit sensitive on the platter side, so we couldn't really touch the records too much. And anyway, when you're growing up, remember, you must never touch the records. That's what your parents told you, isn't it? You know. But anyway, so I basically come up with this way of what I would do when I was trying to mix, when I was very first trying to learn how to mix. And I have covered this in my beat mixing tutorial where the link is below. What I discovered was, if I had this song and this was a dance song and I wanted to mix this one in, what I would do is I would just do my baby scratch, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I would let it off on the beat, right? And then I'd listen to the song and I would start the pitch. For example, first time I'd done this, I would put it at 0. I'd listen to the song and I'd listen to the song to see whether the beats that I was mixing in was coming in before, so the kicks and the claps, or the kicks and the snares were coming in before the record that was playing out on the speaker system, or whether it was playing after. Now if it was playing before, what I would do is I'd rewind the record all the way back to the beginning and then I'd put it down by 2%. Yeah, because you had the markers on the pitch control, and most turntables still have that, right? You'd have the little divisions on the side of it. So I just move the pitch control all the way down to -2, and then what I would do is I'd find that first beat again, and then I would just let that go anywhere in the record. It didn't matter whether it was in phrase or not, yeah? So I'd just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let it go, yeah? And then I'd listen again, and I think, okay, right. So it needs to be slowed down a little bit more. So then I'd go down to 4%, right? And then I'd rewind it, and then I'd find that same beat again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'd let it go. I go, actually, this time now it needs to be speeded up a little bit. So then I would go rewind it, and then I knew that somewhere between 2 and 4, those beats would be matched, right? So I used to rewind it and then find the first beat, and then I'd put it on 3, in between 2 and 4, for example, exactly on 3%. Do it again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let it go. Have a listen to it. And obviously this took me a little bit longer to decipher it, and you'd find the beats were slowly going out, right? And then, you know, I'd go to sort of like, I'd listen to it, decide whether it was slowed down, needed slowing down or speeding up. And then what I would do is then I'd put it at like 3.5%, so between 3 and 4. And then I'd repeat that process until I got that pitch absolutely locked. And then one day, a friend of mine, Jason, who was basically like a mentor to me, was like, Benj, why are you doing that, man? And I was like, well, the problem is like, my decks are not Technics like yours, so I can't, like, you know, touch the platter and stuff like that, because he had great decks, he had Technics, so like, you know, if you touched the platter, it didn't really matter. With mine, they were good decks for the price, but you know, if you touched the platter a little bit, it would really slow down, and if you span the spindle in the middle, it was just too much. So it just made more sense just to, and after explaining that to him, and we was like, okay, well, instead of, you know, touching the record and everything, why not just use the pitch fader And then, you know, after doing a little bit of research, I found this book, which was The Turntable Technique, and that was by the Berkeley Music School Press or whatever. I've still got it somewhere. I need to dig it out so I can show you. But in that, it told us about a technique called pitch riding. And that is basically what I just described to you. So how do we pitch ride? So basically what you do is you make sure the beat is going off on the same beat. You'll listen to the record and then you'll use only the pitch fader to speed up the record or slow down. You don't use another finger on the record at all. The only time you touch the record is to let the record go at the right spot. So basically, just like I described, you might go from 0%, then you're going to move it up to 2%. Maybe it needs a little bit more. You might go to 4%, then you go to 5%, then you might go back down to 4%, and then you would just sort of like ride it in and out, and then hopefully you could get the pitch locked where you needed it to be, right? Now, another thing that you can do that we discovered is if you put your finger on the pitch control, you can actually like quickly nudge it up and then put it back down, which is a bit like pressing a plus or minus on a jog wheel. You know, like the old school CDJs, they had those plus and minus buttons, and they had that little circular jog wheel which was tiny. It was about the same as this lens on this camera, but yeah, you could jog or you had the plus and minus buttons. What you could do with the pitch control is put your finger there and just quickly nudge it up, and then you could just, like, you know, if you had to do that 2 or 3 times during your mix, just nudge it up like a millimeter or 2, and then that would keep the mix holding for longer and longer. And the thing is, with a little bit of practice, that technique can be really useful, and it's absolutely legit. And you know, if you're worried about, you know, getting too many fingerprints on the records, or some people, they, you know, they use the spindle or they slow down the records in the middle. But what can happen if your records are a little bit old? What can happen is if you drag and touch the records too much, sometimes the paper part in the middle, which the album title, cover and all the 33 or 45 RPM information is kept on, what can happen is that can actually like discolor and damage the inside, you know. So if you've got a really nice record collection and you don't want to damage your records in any way, doing pitch riding is a great way for you to keep the mix for a long time. And once you've got that, those beats are very locked. They're very tight, and they'll stay locked for a long time. It's actually a very popular technique with lots and lots of hip-hop DJs is pitch riding as well. So if you want to practice some of these, then I would definitely recommend you do that. You just need to get 2 records which is from the same genre, and then just hit one off and just try that 1, 2, 3, 4, baby scratching on and off the beat. Then what you're going to do is let the beat go, and then, like I say, just using a trial and error process, just going up and down on the pitch control until you get your beats locked. And then if you combine that with dragging the platter and pushing, your mixing will get very good, which is what I do nowadays with a bit of a hybrid technique. So, but if you really want to challenge yourself, your next mix that you put together, whether you use CDJs or just vinyl, because it works on both, just use the pitch control to pitch ride. In fact, when I was a little bit younger and I used to DJ in a bar, what I used to do is when I was mixing, I used to try to pitch ride the pitch before the BPM used to come on. So like, let's say this track was at 130, I used to scratch this one in and then let it go, and I try to mix by pitch riding the tempo before the BPM come on, and that was one of the things that I used to do. So when you get good at pitch riding, will make your mixing very, very quick, and that's how you can play like a giant mashup of songs within a very short space of time. So I encourage you to practice that on your own. Anyway guys, let me know in the comments if you found this video useful. Let me know if you've been practicing, if you like doing it in this way, or whether you use more of a hybrid technique. What's your favourite way to DJ? Anyway, stay tuned for more video content coming real soon. We got that DJ AZ video mix coming up soon, and there are lots and lots of other videos that I've got planned. So be sure to subscribe. Make sure you hit me up if you've got any questions. Anyway, people, have a great day. Peace out. DJ Benji.